one shot on target at home in a final in 120 minutes. The manager needs to look at that after 60 minutes and go, do you know what? I've got some dynamite on my bench here.
Welcome to another and the final edition of Euros. Look, it isn't the final edition we wanted to record, but nonetheless, let's celebrate what England did and get into the final. Craig, I want to start with you. Like, me and you've been doing the show since the get-go. Emotions on Sunday evening after the full-time whistle, or should I say after the penalty shootout? What were your emotions?
So my voice is barely here because of the final, but disappointment, frustration, pride. It's a mixture. You know, it's one of those ones where you look at it and you look at it and go, what could you have done? What could we have changed? You know, you start reflecting, you start having regrets, you start going, you know, could we have set up differently? You know, and that's always going to happen. People are going to look towards the manager, they're going to look towards the performance, they're going to try and find different things. But I think ultimately when the dust settles, I think you just got to be proud of the players, not proud of the fans, not proud of the way they carried themselves, the fans, and the way they reacted after the game and before the game. But for the players, extreme pride on my part, man, because I feel like at this tournament, there was an expectation to maybe try and go one better than the World Cup. But there were still very good teams in this tournament, teams that were ranked higher than us, that we had to try and overcome in order to win this. And for us to get to the final and lose on the smallest of margins, penalties, you know, we go 90 minutes, we go extra time, we go to penalties, and then to miss, you know, on like the very last penalty, even Pickford became a hero, you know, and people need to start putting respect on Pickford's name. Yeah, he has moments of madness, you know, but name me a footballer that doesn't really. I feel like he stepped up. You know, we missed a couple pens, or we missed one, then he stepped up and got the next save. And unfortunately, it just wasn't meant to be, man. But yeah, overall, my feelings were just, like I said, disappointment, frustration, but ultimately pride.
Rory, we've been doing the show every Monday and Friday, and your emotions have been up and down, left and right. What are your emotions like Sunday evening?
Yeah, I think Sunday, everything that could have gone wrong went wrong, didn't it? It was just like we were just speaking just before we came on air, and we were saying that it was just such a dark day. Everything felt so flat after an outrageously brilliant tournament. I think the way that this England team and management have conducted themselves throughout this tournament has filled me with pride, brought me some like ecstatic moments, like sheer, genuine adrenaline buzzes this team has delivered. When you think about that goal that Sterling scored against Croatia, it was a surprise. You know, we beat the World Cup finalists. That was the moment people started to think, maybe there's something in this. We then knock out Germany. It was fantastic. Along the way, there was the Scotland game where, you know, the Tartan Army invaded London. It was beautiful to see so many fans here. There have been so many good moments, and that's keeping it in an English context. When you think about the tournament as a whole, it's been magnificent. It's really caught me, this tournament. But the culmination and the zenith of it didn't go our way, and ultimately it was a fairly sad end to what was a brilliant tournament.
I have to talk about the England fans. Like, I'm not letting.
Yeah, let's go.
About the England fans, disgrace, and that's not all of them. Obviously, I'm talking about a section of them. The way they behaved on the day was an absolute disgrace. I started my day in Trafalgar Square to meet my friend Steve the man, before we made our way to Box Park Croydon. And if you saw what they were doing in Trafalgar Square at 2 p.m, if you saw what they were doing, and then everyone's seen the scenes of Trafalgar Square by the end of the day, smashed up everything. That Burger King there is written off. And I, for the life of me, I can't get my head around it. I remember people, you know, adults condemning, and I get it, rightly so, you know, young people that were looting and smashing up things during the London riots in 2012 and things of this nature. And they were doing that off the back of an injustice of someone being killed, you know, and now we've got people just smashing things up because their team's made it to a final. You know, this is supposed to be a positive day. This is supposed to be a day where, you know, you embrace your country, you embrace things. Why have businesses got to be scared that their things are going to get smashed up? Kicking balls up in the air. One ball went on a balcony in Trafalgar Square. An England fan climbed up the balcony to get the ball. They started throwing beer cans at him, smashing bottles of Heineken at him. Like, he could have seriously been injured. It was an England fan. Like, The mentality they have, they act like little kids. Like I can't get my head around it. These are grown-ass adults. We're talking about people in their late 30s, early 40s that have actual jobs, 9 to 5s, that have families back home, wherever they live in the country, make a day of it, come down to London and make people feel really uncomfortable, really unsafe. That's pre-game. Now let's move on to after game, right? These players that have united you, that have brought you joy throughout this tournament, that have brought you these amazing moments that Rory said at the beginning, you know, that goal against Croatia, you know, smashing Ukraine 4-0, beating Germany. You know, we know how much you guys dislike the Germans. You sing the songs all the time, which in itself is still a bit weird. But anyway, cool, you're singing your songs, disrespecting the Germans. We've had our moments, cool. And then you feel the right thing to do is forget abusing players, period, because no player should be abused. But then you're using their skin color as the basis for your abuse, for the missing penalties. Like this is to me, it's a disgrace. And really and truly, unless something really gets done about this and sorted about this, whether that's social media, whether that's the FA, whether that's, I don't know, it will get to the stage where black players need to stop playing for England. As mad as that sounds, as dramatic as that sounds, why would you want to put on the shirt? I wouldn't want to put that strip on if that's the case. I'd rather go and play for my own country where at least if I get abused, where it shouldn't be abused, it's going to be based off my footballing ability or something I've done wrong. Because I know if I play for Nigeria or Jamaica or whatever happens, it ain't going to be my skin color. That's why they're going to abuse me. You don't choose your skin color. You come out of the womb that way. It's not a choice. So for me, I don't understand why people keep using that as the basis to abuse someone. You step up and take a penalty in front of billions.
I want to kind of touch on the point that Rory said. I've got quite bored of international football. I have to be honest with you. Like the World Cup qualifiers, the European Championship qualifiers, almost feel like a procession, Nations League. This Euros, though, sort of made me fall in love back with international football. Like, I loved every moment of it. Like, I'm upset that it's over. I almost want it to continue. Like, I'm not necessarily one of those people that are looking forward to the Premier League start. I'm like, because of VAR and all the nonsense that the Premier League has, I loved this tournament.
I think there were so many reasons we love this tournament. I'll be honest, at the beginning of the tournament, I wasn't on it to begin with. Mine was kind of a journey. And as the tournament progressed, I got more and more and more invested in the tournament and England, but well, I'm always invested in England, to be fair, but yeah, it just grew throughout the tournament. But then the thing is, when I look at it, I just feel like the last 18 months this country has had, and the world in general, but specifically this country, because, you know, and I don't want to make this political, but, you know, our leaders have kind of fumbled in many different areas in terms of handling the pandemic and things of that nature. I feel like England doing well was always going to unite us. This was always going to be something that brought people together, because we know we can celebrate, you know, despite, you know, your race or your background or your class or whatever. This is something we can all get behind and push towards, you know, seeing such a multicultural team go out there and produce such exquisite moments on the pitch. And I just feel like, yeah, just seeing these players come together and unite everyone was a special feeling. And we really needed it after the pandemic. And yeah, ultimately, like you touched on, for it to just go sour in like that, for it to just evaporate, you know, we build all of this together, everyone hugging, being, you know, joyous, all of these moments, for it to go whoosh, just like that is just frustrating. And the last few days, you know, we're talking, it's mid-July, it has been pouring of rain. It is pathetic fallacy on the highest level. Like this is the reflection of the nation right now. And I can't, honestly, just get me to Ibiza, man. Just get me to Ibiza.
Yeah.
I've had enough.
Honestly,
I've had enough.
I think everyone wants to get out of here, right? Rory, we do need to celebrate what the team have done, though, haven't we? I mean, it's difficult. The last 24 hours, like Craig said, the last 48 hours have been difficult for everyone. Us as fans, it must have been difficult for the players and the management. But what Gareth Southgate's done in bringing all these boys together. Craig was in the camp in 2008 when those cliques were starting to be divided. Now they're fully divided, right? Everyone's singing from the same hymn sheet. And I'm proud. I'm proud of the boys. I'm proud of what they've done as well. Obviously, as an England fan, you're upset that we didn't win it, but we're on this trajectory now. A semi-final in 2008, a final in 2020 or 2021. Qatar 2022, I'm excited about what we can do.
Yeah, totally. I think this team, they're moving in the right direction. I think that when you think about the players, what are they going to be like in another 15 months? Like, what's Jude Bellingham doing in another 15 months' time? What's Phil Foden doing in another 15 months' time? It's very exciting. And I think the future's bright for this team. I truly believe that this crop of players will win major honours with England. And for that alone, we should be really positive. I love this team, which is weird for me because I've never really, I love Harry Kane. I'm a Chelsea fan. I often look at things through a club prism, but I love Harry Kane. I love Raheem Sterling. I love Kyle Walker. I think this team are fantastic. And I truly believe that there is a bright light at the end of the tunnel. And amazingly, look, I think that Gareth Southgate got certain things wrong. And I think there is a ceiling to his managerial ability. But I love him. I can't even believe I'm saying this, despite the fact I think he cost us the game. I don't even want him sacked. I think there are better managers out there. I think there are, look, I'm playing games here, but if you were to give Antonio Conte the job, I think England win in Qatar. I think that's a guarantee. This England team under Antonio Conte win in Qatar. But I don't even want to do that. I think persevere with Southgate, take on the fact that he is obsessed with defending, take on the fact that he picks forward-thinking players for their defensive capabilities, which is odd. And let's just see how it goes.
Craig, let's touch on the final. Let's go back. Let's cause a bit of pain to ourselves. It's got so much right, I think, this tournament in terms of substitutions and the formations. He got it wrong on Sunday, though, didn't he? I mean, did we need to go to a back five? Did he make substitutions too late? We've got so much attacking talent. We barely saw it against Italy. Where did he go wrong on Sunday, do you think?
Ultimately, I think it was the back five. Do you know what? It's a weird one because before the game, I was saying, and we said it on the Euro Social, whatever decision he makes, we have to get behind it because he's got us here. We hadn't conceded a goal from open play up until the final. Like, that's just the reality. And then the goal we do concede in open play in the final is like a scruffy little tap in. Header goes in, it goes off the post, and then someone bundles it over the line. No one was able to score a magnificent, well-worked, put-together goal to take us out of the game. All right, the Denmark goal was good. Fantastic free kick. But like I said, that's a set piece. So ultimately, we couldn't really criticize any decisions Southgate made. That's what I was saying before the game. But then we saw the back five. We saw how it played out throughout the final. We get the early goal, dream start. Luke Shaw, one of the players of the tournament for me, one of England's star players, really vindication for him and what he's been through for the last 2-3 years as a player. And for club and country, he's really come up trumps after this tournament. But yeah, I just feel like after that, all I saw was Italy with the ball and us sitting back, and I was getting echoes of the semi-final in Croatia in 2018 when Trippier whipped in the free kick. We were going crazy early in the game, and then for the rest of the game, pinned back, watching them just rotate the ball, wear us down, play patterns of football. I was just getting PTSD. It was flashbacks all over again. I was like, what the hell is going on here? We can't get the ball. I'm screaming in Box Park Croydon while getting beers dashed on me. Like, what's going on? Get the ball. Let's have some more possession. Let's take it to them. We've got the players to do that, and we saw little glimpses. Sterling, I wanted to see more of it where Sterling would pick up the ball knowing nothing's on and having to burst through 3 or 4 players and ultimately get wiped off the ball or ushered out for a corner. We needed more of that. He needed to make more substitutions, Listen, Rory, you know this. I know him personally. I love Mason Mount. Mason Mount is a fantastic player, fantastic. Should he have stayed on the field that long, knowing it wasn't working? Southgate probably have to ponder that and think maybe he could have switched it up. There were many decisions he could have made throughout the game. I think that could have maybe changed things, that we could have maybe taken a different approach when things weren't going our way. But at the end of the day, what will be, we didn't lose within 90 minutes because of his decisions. We went to extra time, we took it to penalties, and ultimately it came down to a spot kick. So whatever anyone wants to say about it, it came down to a penalty, and on penalties, anything can well and truly happen on the day. I would put any money that Marcus Rashford would have put a penalty away any other game, because I've seen Marcus Rashford in training for England. This guy is such a finisher. Finishing is one of his strong points. Some people may disagree, but I've seen him. People respect his finishing. And I thought he would have put it away. And it's just one of those things, man. And maybe they shouldn't have taken the penalties. They had only played 15 minutes, I believe, him and Sancho. Maybe they wasn't warmed up. Maybe it took them a while to mentally get into the game and be on everyone else's level. And then Saka, a 19-year-old taking a penalty. I mean, I think everyone knows that wasn't right. A 19-year-old, in my opinion, that's never taken a penalty at senior level, taking the 5th penalty in probably the biggest game of his career, to me is a bit weird. So I don't know. We'll never really know what happened. Those discussions in the huddle about who went forward, who put their name in the hat, who stepped back. We'll never really get that. But ultimately, Saka, if he is going to be taking a penalty, which he shouldn't have, maybe he should have taken the second or the third. I don't know. But the fifth deciding penalty, they could have switched that last minute or something. I don't know. But yeah, that's how I feel about it.
Do you know what though, Craig? If Sancho and Rashford score their penalties, Saka never takes one. And I think you would have anticipated Sancho. Like if you look at the records of Rashford and Sancho, they both have a very proud record of goal scoring from penalty situations. So circumstances didn't go away. And everything you said about Southgate, I do agree with. I think the Mason Mount thing is an interesting one because I think he was playing in a position that didn't necessarily suit him. He was playing with defensive responsibilities, trying to help out the midfield, which he can do. But what he's very good at is pressing from the front. And we're so negative that he couldn't necessarily do that. And as much as I love Southgate, and I don't even want to talk about him losing his job. That's a testament to how much I like him. I do find his substitutions just unfathomable. I just can't work out
they don't make
the intention
sense
around us. They don't make sense. They just don't make sense.
It's interesting because obviously, look, it's not just Southgate making those decisions. It's Steve Holland behind him as well. It's Graham Jones. It's Chris Butts, the team collective, right? Making those decisions. I do wonder though, and this is to our midfield. We were losing the midfield battle. There's no two ways about it. After 20 minutes, I was like, what's going on here? And then you look at the experience of the three in the midfield that we've got. And yes, they played against big boys in this World Cup so far. They've played against the likes of Toni Kroos and Modric and done well. But you think about it, you think Declan Rice, 22, 23 caps. Calvin Phillips, 15. Mason Mount, 20, 21 caps as well. You think come time Qatar 2022, you're going to be thinking Declan Rice, 47 caps. Calvin Phillips, fingers crossed, 39 caps. You know what I mean? Mason Mount, 50 caps. And then it's a case of they can make the difference. Like I was watching Bonucci and Chiellini, and they didn't even have to turn to Mancini. They was like, okay, we need to settle this ourselves. We need to, you over here, you drop deep. And I was looking at Declan Rice and Mason Mount, and no one was talking to each other. It's almost like, okay, we've just got to somehow work this out. And I feel like come Qatar, they'll work things out themselves in the midfield, those three.
I mean, I think that probably will happen as well, but that isn't the answer to this problem. The answer to how England win silverware isn't the players will figure it out. It's the manager must steer England to victory because it won't be easy to win that World Cup. And ultimately what happened is Roberto Mancini, you know, Addy, I remember you and I were speaking when it was Italy versus Belgium. And we both agreed that Italy will progress because Mancini beats Martinez every day of the week. Yeah. Our problem is Mancini beats Southgate every day of the week. And ultimately, that's what happened. England started brilliantly. We got a goal, fullback to fullback, all perfect. But we had one shot on target in 120 minutes. And that was the goal.
Crazy.
Like, that's not good. That's not good. And a manager watching that from the sidelines, this is weird because the narrative of this, because you two have been both so pro Southgate, usually I'm the one making a case for him, but nobody else seems to be doing it here. One shot on target at home in a final in 120 minutes. The manager needs to look at that after 60 minutes and go, do you know what? I've got some dynamite on my bench here. I've got some serious dynamite. It doesn't even matter who we flag.
Scary dynamite as well. The drop-off is not, there is no drop-off. Like Rashford comes on, that's scary. Sancho comes on, that's scary dynamite. And they get a minute in the final. And they're coming on like NFL kickers. They're getting a minute in the final. It's incredible.
Yeah. I mean, look the penalty thing. I think that Southgate got it so wrong in the final. But not the penalties. I don't think that was a strategy. I think Craig makes a good point about Saka being the last one at the tender age of 19. That's probably a mistake, particularly considering Jack Grealish's tweet. That's probably a mistake. However, bringing on Rashford to score a penalty kind of makes sense. He's very good in that situation. Bringing on Sancho, again, very proud penalty record. That could have gone a different way. So that I don't actually hold Gareth Southgate accountable for. But everything up until that penalty shootout, Mancini was being so reactive. He changed the shape. He pushed Verratti into a position where he was dictating the play, moved Jorginho around, changed the entire shape, made substitutions that impacted the game. We were static. We were defending. We were at home. We have better players. And ultimately, Addy, it's a very generous appraisal from you to say the players will figure this out because we need the manager to figure this out.
My appraisal is because, look, again, we've all praised Southgate through this tournament, but I think at the start of this tournament, I was very not sure about Southgate just because I don't think he's a top manager like a Didier Deschamps or a Martinez, for example, or even an Enrique. So it's almost a case of the players have to figure it out because I don't trust Southgate to do it. That's why I'm thinking the players will do it.
You know what? Sorry, Rory. I just want to come back to that as well, though. But I still believe, that Marcus Rashford, Sancho, they could come in and take a penalty, and they should be able to take the penalty. But I still think, mentality is a big thing in this. This is more mental than ability at that stage. And when you haven't been playing in the final, when you're sitting on the bench frustrated that you haven't even been playing, or you barely played minutes in this tournament, period. I think Rashford hasn't started a game as far as I know, and Sancho played that one game against Ukraine, and he was quite good in that game. And you're not really in the team, and you're just given minutes here and there to feel included, but you're not really included. And I could tell by their social media alone, like all the players that have been starting, they've been on their social media posting pictures, enjoying it. You go on Rashford and Sancho's social media before the game, there's no real posts or anything because they don't really feel like they've contributed in that way. They're just a part of the setup. You've been then plunged in second half of extra time to try and get to grips with the game. Bearing in mind, the stakes are really, really high. Yeah. Everyone else, like Chiellini, Bonucci, they're so in this game. They've been in it since the first whistle. Their mind is really, really tapped in of what's going on. You've got to get up to speed with this, and before you know it, you're standing there taking a penalty. And hold on, quickly. Here's another thing. This is what I can't understand about this penalty taking business. Our first penalty is Harry Kane. Cool, puts it away. Our second penalty taker is Harry Maguire. I don't think I've ever seen Harry Maguire take a penalty in my life. He bings it. He puts it top bins. Fantastic penalty. But how has our centre-back stepped up and taken a penalty before some of the central midfielders or the attackers, the people that actually get closer to within vicinity of taking shots on goal? Any other time I see Harry Maguire have an attempt on goal, it's with his head. I've never seen...
I guess, Craig, it goes down to what you said, though, at the stop, isn't it? Mentality. Like, mentally, like Bonucci took one for Italy. And Bonucci almost been seized as well, didn't he?
Step up.
Leaders mentality,
step up and take the penalties. And it's like, Sancho is not a captain for his club. Rashford, all right, he's doing some tremendous things off the pitch in terms of, politics and helping out and, being a humanitarian and showing leadership qualities in that way. But he's not a leader for Man United in that way. And then you got Saka, who's just a kid going up. To me, I don't know, like Jack Grealish is the captain of Aston Villa. And I know he
takes one. He's got to take one.
Jack Grealish's tweet, but Southgate or someone's got to say, you've got to step up and take a penalty.
Yeah.
Raheem Sterling's been a leader off the pitch, in terms of what he's been doing for race, fighting racism and things of this nature. There's certain people that I think just need to show or should have been made to show their leadership qualities in that instance, and not let players who, in my opinion, I don't see as leaders on the pitch step up and take it in the most... Any penalty is pressure. In a Premier League game, if you get one in the 89th minute and it could cost your team 3 points or 0 points or a point is pressure.
Let's be honest, Rory.
But Craig, that would have been negotiated and discussed in the days leading up to it, though.
Yeah, but Rory, how can you have a discussion? I don't understand how you have a discussion pre-game or pre-tournament about penalties.
It's in the moment.
It's in the moment. It's in the moment. It's almost like when Craig was saying that you watch him, smack him away in training. That's training. And not only that, but then all of a sudden you smack him away in training against, let's be honest, Pickford, who's a good goalkeeper, but he's 6'1", 6'2". Sam Johnston, 6'1", 6'2". All of a sudden you've got to smack it past Donnarumma, who's 6'5", 6'6".
But I think
completely different.
Also, I don't even necessarily think the keepers are relevant. I think when you're taking a penalty, you're trying to hit your spot. You're trying to find the side netting, and it's irrelevant who the goalkeeper is. But also, the manager would have prepared for every eventuality. This is what we will do if X, Y, and Z happen.
There's no eventuality, Rory, where a 19-year-old Saka takes the final penalty. There should be no eventuality. There should be none. Where the final penalty potentially is a 19-year-old who's never taken a penalty in pressurized situation. There should be none.
That I possibly agree with. But I don't think that Southgate got it wrong bringing on Marcus Rashford to take a penalty. Marcus Rashford has scored an abundance of penalties. He is somebody who I would say will score if we bring him on. I think he's a safe bet.
Really score a penalty. Can't.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Grealish instead of Saka, but that doesn't change where Marcus Rashford ranks in this.
But doesn't it show though that it's not about his ability to take a penalty? When we saw Harry Maguire, this is what we're trying to say with Craig. It's about the mentality. Like, yes, we've seen Rashford score many penalties, and you're right, he has. We've never seen Maguire take one. He took the best one. So it's a mentality thing rather than your penalty takers.
Yeah, but it's also an ability thing, and it's also the fact that Marcus Rashford has a very impressive track record of scoring from the penalty spot. It's an educated decision from Southgate.
But they've all got ability to take a penalty from the spot.
Yeah, let's be honest. Yeah,
Proven ability. They haven't all got proven ability. Lots haven't taken penalties before.
If you're a professional footballer, I need to assume that you can take a penalty.
Obviously, there has been a conversation with Sancho and Rashford where Gareth Southgate has said, if we get to that situation, I'm going to bring you on to take a penalty. And those boys have agreed. We must assume that that's what's happened.
Yeah.
And therefore, that isn't a wrong decision. That is like bringing those two on who have a proven track record of scoring from the spot makes sense to me. The Saka one, I think we can debate. Even if Saka says, I want to take one, I think Southgate should probably protect him from that position.
I just feel it's so unfair, you know.
I'm with you.
You barely played a role throughout the whole tournament, and now you've got to step up and do this where there's people that have just had way more minutes. You know, it's just, I don't know, man. And football isn't fair. Football isn't fair. I get it.
It isn't about fair. Like I don't really see the argument of fair. It's just about who's the right man to take a penalty in my squad. And Marcus Rashford was given an opportunity to score in a final.
Was he the right man? Was he the right man?
Yeah.
In hindsight,
I think he was.
In hindsight,
it's still the right decision. It's still the right decision. His track record proves that he's the right man.
I will say this though. I will say this though. I was doing my like 5 penalty takers whilst all 11 were on the pitch, and you know when you look at some clubs, especially you look at a club team, okay, he will slot it away. I wasn't confident about. I couldn't pick 5, and so badly that I had Pickford in my 5. Like, I don't look at England.
No, but Pickford's got a good. Pickford scored a penalty though. Pickford's a good shout.
That's why I had him. That's why I had him in my 5. Yeah, that's why I had him in the 5. I look at this England side and I don't see 5 like, oh yeah, he will step up and slot one away. There isn't.
But that's why that's why Sancho and Rashford were brought on, because they are that.
And this goes back to the thing. This goes back to Roy, the argument about Saka though. You're right. Sancho and Rashford, I expect to put them away. Saka, I've never seen it before.
But Adi, I keep saying that the Saka conversation is different. The Saka being 19, never taken a penalty before, taken a couple of not at that level. You think he's taken some in the Europa League?
It has, yeah.
Do you know what? Listen,
that's a different one to somebody like Sancho and Rashford who have done it at the top level. I still don't think this Saka and Rashford, obviously they missed. Sancho and Rashford they missed. But the sounding, look, if England get a penalty in the next game, I still say Rashford has it.
Rory Jennings, as always, my man, thank you very much. Craig Mitch, it's been
Thank
fun
you.
doing these with you as well. This has been the Eurosocial with myself, Adi Oladipo. It didn't come home, but it nearly
did. He did.